Good afternoon and welcome everybody to today's December 27, 2023 meeting of the Brighton Town Board. I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor. Welcome to our last Town Board meeting of 2023. Whether you're here in person here at Brighton Town Hall or watching us remotely either on our cable access channel or on our YouTube channel, we welcome you as always to be a part of these meetings. We will be beginning the open forum portion of our meeting in just a moment. Open forum is that portion of every town board meeting where the public has the opportunity to share their comments with the town board. Obviously, if you're here in person, that's easy, but if you're watching us remotely, you'll have to log into the Zoom broadcast of our meeting to speak during the open forum tonight, or for that matter, to speak during the one public hearing that we have on our agenda. If you don't know how to log into Zoom, most folks do by now, but there are instructions for doing so on the town webpage. We also continue to make all of our meetings accessible to the deaf and hard of hearing community with our ASL interpreters. We have two interpreters today, Quinn Webb and Paige Bixby. Thank you very much, Quinn and Paige, for being with us. As a reminder, the agenda for today's meeting and all the supporting materials, which are fairly extensive today, are available on the back table here in the room, but they're also available to anybody watching remotely on the town's webpage, www.townofbrighton.org. If you're able, I ask that you rise and join us in the pledge. Councilmember DePonzio, I'll ask you to lead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome.
We'll now begin the open forum portion of the meeting. Again, as I mentioned a moment ago, it's the opportunity for members of the public to address the town board on any matter relating to the town, whether or not it's on our agenda this afternoon. If you're here in person and would like to speak during the open forum, I would just ask that you raise your hand and we'll recognize you. Come up to the podium. Please share your name and address. If you're on Zoom and you'd like to participate in the open forum, please use the raised hand function in Zoom. You'll be unmuted, and again, you'll be able to speak. We would ask again that you share your name and address with us. Either way, please limit your remarks during the open forum to 3 minutes. I'll give you a 30-second warning before your time expires. If you have questions, we may or may not be able to answer them, particularly if your questions relate to a matter that's not on our agenda today. But our goal here this afternoon and at every open forum is to give the public the opportunity to share thoughts, questions, concerns with us, and for us to be able to listen thoughtfully to your words. So please, we ask that you direct your remarks to the town board, not to the room, not to other speakers. Please refrain from personal attacks or outbursts of any kind during the open forum or during the meeting, out of respect for the speakers and for everyone's time. Okay, is there anyone here that would like to address the board during the open forum? Either here in person, I don't see any hands raised here in the room, and I don't see any hands raised on Zoom. So, Chris, can you...
Bill, I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
And I would just ask that we add to the agenda one final item, and that is an appointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals. You have with you the memo and resolution for that, so if you can...
With that addition, Bill, I move to approve.
Thank you, and
Second.
thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Supervisor Mailing.
Aye. We have one public hearing today. It's a public hearing that's being held pursuant to Section 202-B of the New York State Town Law. Under that section of the town law, public hearings are required for certain capital expenditures by our sewer department, by any town sewer department. I will ask the town clerk if the necessary legal notice has been given for this public hearing.
It has, sorry, I was adding the ZBA appointments to my agenda. It was published in the December 4th edition of the Daily Record.
Great, thank you. Then I declare this public hearing under Section 202B of the town law to be open. And I will ask, I don't know if John or Earl would like to speak briefly about what we have. We're not going to be taking action today, by the way. We're just holding the public hearing.
Yeah, I think by way of update, the overall maximum estimated cost of $396,028 is budgeted and available. We will not exceed that amount. We have had a couple small changes to the vehicles. The first vehicle for the sewer pump station utility truck with crane replacement, that will be an annual amount of not to exceed $22,000 over 5 years, and the total cost of that project will be lower by at least $40,000. And the final item on the list, the Ford F-350 replacement truck, the lowest bid on that did come in at $8,800 higher. So there'll be a couple small changes to the listing, but again, the overall estimated cost will not exceed what is been approved.
Great, great, thanks, Earl. And John, I know it's your conclusion that those deviations are not in any way
Yes, that is correct.
materially. Thank you. Is there anyone that would like to address the board on this public hearing, either in the room or on Zoom? No hands raised here in the room, no hands raised on Zoom. I just, one of these items, which I think is a really important project, and I'm so glad we're going to be able to move forward on this, and that is the design phase of the replacement of the Corbett's Glen, what's called the Corbett's Glen aerial sewer. If you go out to Corbett's Glen, if you go through that unbelievably beautiful bridge over the creek there and the culvert, there's a pipe, and that pipe carries sewage. And it's been troubling for a long time going through such a scenic area. Included in this item is amount up to $100,000 for design work to replace that exposed aerial sewer. It's our hope that the project itself will qualify for other state grant funding, but the design work does not. So we've felt it's a priority and are going to be moving forward on that in 2024. So thank you, Everett, for making sure that is a priority for us. Any other comments while the public hearing is open? Again, we're not taking action today. We will take action on this. I'm not sure if we'll do it at the org meeting or at our first regular meeting, but at one of the next two meetings. Hearing none, then I declare this public hearing to be closed. We have no items of communication to be received and filed today, so we'll move to committee reports. Robin, Community Services.
Thank you, Bill. The Community Services Committee met last Wednesday, December 20th. Among the items that we discussed were under continuing business park issues. The year-end closeout of projects is underway. The snow has been manageable to date, allowing for work on other priority projects to occur. The annual Veterans Luncheon was successful, with the VA clinic having driven turnout in accordance with pre-pandemic levels. Again, we thank Rich and Deb Wagner for their integral role in coordinating this effort to give back to our veterans. The installation of the heat pump at Carmen Clark Lodge is complete, and the solar panel installation will occur in January. Promotional and educational signage will be installed on site to explain the near net zero energy consumption and sustainability benefits of the improvements at the lodge, making the town eligible to earn additional clean energy community credit. With regard to recreation programs, we're finishing out our year-end projects and planning for winter and spring programming and special events. We're exploring the usage of different venues for the department to realize the full potential of all locations at its disposal. Year-end inventory and furniture purchases and replacements for community spaces is taking place. Family Bingo was a huge success, and we'll be looking into Springo for next season. Not my witty phrase.
But I love it.
Yes, but I love it. Due to the overwhelming success in its first year, we're planning for another Brickyard Trail art exhibition in 2024. We're targeting the first 3 weekends in March for that. The department is grateful for having received an increased number of donations to the Buckland House of late in connection with the historical family legacy for which the house is named. An update to the Winters Farmers Market. The novelty of the market has generated extremely high traffic, which we welcome, but that has necessitated the presence of Brighton Police Department for traffic control. Vendors are seeing brisk business, and we're grateful for the support. We do remind the public, however, that vendors do need time to set up, so market doors will not open prior to the 10 a.m. scheduled start time, so please no early birds. The market is currently closed until January 7th, 2024, but we look forward to the hustle and bustle of its return then. Also, with regard to the market, we are looking into handicapped assist activated doors to be retrofitted on site, and also completing the remainder of punch list items in the near term. We'll be using some professional photography on site to document the project's completion and assist in its promotion. Now, award-winning project. An update to our Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Advisory Board, the American Astrological Society grant to support inclusive total solar eclipse activities unfortunately was not awarded to the town of Brighton, but a strong effort was made in a highly competitive environment of 152 applicants for a mere 35 awardees. We thank Victoria Love, Prashant Prabhat, and Sarah Johnstone in particular for their efforts in submitting the grant application. Notices of the outcome will be sent out to the many community partners who wrote letters of support, including the Urban League of Rochester, the Rochester, New York chapter of the Lynx Incorporated, Brighton Central School District, Rochester Museum and Science Center, Rochester Institute of Technology, Boys and Girls Clubs of Rochester, who we thank for their generous assistance. Speaking of generous assistance, the grant from ESL to support school supplies, spirit wear, and clothing for families in need of support within Brighton Central School District is being executed with the help of Jeff Green at Brighton Central School District. Supplies will be made available from district central offices and coordinated through existing counseling services. The IDEA Board is busy planning for Martin Luther King Day Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebrations to occur on Friday, January 12th at noon at Brighton Town Hall. The board is also looking to other Affinity Month programming for Women's History Month, AAPI Heritage Month, Caribbean American Heritage Month, Juneteenth, Pride, etc., as well as additional programming in the spring akin to the Tuesday Town Talks community forums that featured African American, Indigenous, and Jewish experiences that were planned for this past fall. In an update to our clean energy community and priority actions, the formal adoption of the Climate Action Plan will take place today at this meeting of the town board. The Carmen Clark Lodge Net Zero project is in its final stages of completion, which we should get the town to our, over our 4,000 point threshold. However, this clean energy community program is being revamped, and the 4,000 point threshold will no longer be a target for grant awards. The next award threshold for which the town will be eligible has been increased to 5,000 points. The grant award values are increasing substantially, however, allowing for much larger potential projects in terms of scope and scale. Also recommended adoption of the 2024 Community Services Committee calendar, with a slight update to the name of the location and our June meeting. We had one item of new business, and that was the Color Brighton Green Pollinator Pathway Challenge proposal. The town is being encouraged to initiate a community-wide pollinator pathway challenge. This initiative would encourage residents, businesses, and other institutions to plant pollinator-friendly vegetation in their yards or properties and adopt eco-friendly practices such as eschewing pesticides and herbicides, which the town currently does. The proposed components of the town's support of these efforts would include the following. One, providing information on the town website about the challenge, including recommendations on pollinator-friendly plantings, and a form for participants to complete to join the challenge and take the pledge to adhere to its components. Secondly, support of an education program through Color Brighton Green's newsletter, social media, and presence at the Brighton Farmers Market. And thirdly, facilitation of the distribution of signs from a town office, such as Parks and Recreation or elsewhere, per the town's determination. Color Brighton Green would also work collaboratively with the Conservation Board to provide all of the information needed for the website and public education campaign. In addition to that, Supervisor Maley was investigating the potential to coordinate community efforts through Monroe County. In terms of upcoming events, again, the Brighton Winters Farmer Market will be open again on January 7th, 2024 at the new indoor market barn at 1435 Westfall Road. Additional parking is available at the Buckland Park and Buckland Farmhouse. And that is occurring on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Again, no early birds, please. Our Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebration will be at Brighton Town Hall, 2300 Elmwood Avenue on Friday, January 12th at 12 noon. Our Arbor Day celebrations, the site will be determined yet, but that will be on Friday, April 26th. Brighton Clean Sweep will be happening at Brighton Town Hall, 2300 Elmwood Avenue on Saturday, May 11th, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And our semi-annual electronics recycling and secure document shredding event will be occurring next time at the Brighton Highway Department parking lot, 1941 Elmwood Avenue on Sunday, May 19th, 9 a.m. to 12 noon. The next meeting of the Community Services Committee will be on Wednesday, January 17th, 2024 at 9:30 a.m. or immediately following the Finance and Administrative Services Committee meeting at the Brighton Recreation Center multipurpose room. We do ask that you access the site through the Winton Road entrance. And again, members of the public are invited and encouraged to attend. That's all I have.
Thanks so much, Robin. Jason, Finance and Administrative
Yes.
Services.
The Finance and Administrative Services Committee met last Wednesday, December 20th. Each of the items that were discussed in committee appear on this afternoon's agenda. Old habits, same tonight's agenda. The next meeting of the Finance and Administrative Services Committee will take place on Wednesday, January 3rd. The committee meets at 8:30 in the morning here at the main auditorium at Town Hall, and the public is invited to attend.
I'm sure I've already said tonight at least once. Thank you, Jason. Chris, Public Safety?
Public Safety has not met since our last report at our last town board meeting. The next meeting is January 9th, 2024, at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Thanks. And Christine is not here. Is someone doing a Public Works?
Public Works, as a co-chair or sub-chair to Christine, has not met as well since our last town board report. The next Public Works Committee meeting will be also January 9th, 2024, following on the Public Safety meeting at approximately 9:15.
Perfect. Thank you all. New business. Jason, reading and approval of claims.
Yes, earlier today I reviewed claims totaling $265,398.17. Notable claims include to Alta Construction Equipment, New York, in the amount of $3,729.44, representing payment for excavator parts. Also to American Rock Salt Company, in the amount of $2,222.86, representing payment for road salt. Also to Baker and Taylor Incorporated, in the amount of $6,885.19, representing payment for books for the library for children, young adults, and adults. And finally, to Envisionware, in the amount of $7,570, representing payment for computer equipment for the library. The claims all appear to be in order, and I move that they be approved.
Second?
Discussion on any of those? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePoncio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye. Chris, the next item.
Thanks, Bill. The next item is to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with the Brighton Volunteer Ambulance to provide emergency medical services within the town of Brighton in an amount not to exceed $360,000 for calendar year 2024. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second?
There's no change in the cost of services from 23 to 24. And of course, we are really grateful for the extraordinary service. I'll just share a quick story. I shared it in the Public Safety Committee meeting, but a resident of the town who's a physician with a medical practice in the city told me the story of an individual who was at her office's practice for a doctor's appointment and had a serious medical incident while the person was there in the physician's office. The call, although it was in the city, was handled on a mutual aid basis by Brighton Volunteer Ambulance. And the physician who was seeing the patient just could not have been more effusive and positive in the way she described Brighton Volunteer Ambulance's response, not only the promptness of the response, even though it was not in Brighton, but the professionalism, the expertise that they showed in handling what was a very, very serious EMS call. So I expressed my gratitude and shared that story at the Public Safety Committee meeting, but I think it's an important enough story to share here at the entire town board, and so that the entire community can hear again what a great job Brighton Volunteer Ambulance does. So we have a motion and it's been seconded. Any further discussion on the BVA 2024 contract? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePoncio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye. Jason.
Yes, the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Lifetime Benefits Solutions Incorporated for the administration of the Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act of 1985, (COBRA), for a one-year term beginning January 1, 2024 through December 31, 2024, in an amount not to exceed 80 cents per member per month, with a minimum of $65 per month. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. We have two related matters next. They both relate to finance matters, so we can do them separately, but Jason, I'll have you do them both,
Okay.
starting with Paula.
The first matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to amend an agreement with Paula Parker for the provision of consulting services by extending the term from December 31, 2023 through June 30, 2024. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second.
Paula Parker, of course, is our former finance director. She retired earlier this year. She has been providing services along with Suzanne Zaso, our former deputy finance director, during the finance transition. With the audit coming up in the first half of the year and other ongoing needs, we felt it was prudent to maintain our consulting arrangement with both of them through June 30th. So we'll start with Paula's, the motion that we have on the table. Any other comments on that matter? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. And Jason for Suzanne.
Next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to amend an agreement with Suzanne Zaso for the provision of consulting services by extending the term from December 31, 2023 through June 30, 2024. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second?
Any discussion? Again, we're appreciative that both Suzanne and Paula will continue to provide these important consulting services. Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Robin, the next one, please.
Certainly. The next matter seeks to approve the proposed climate action plan. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
This is a big deal, and I'm very pleased we held a public hearing a couple of meetings ago, but more importantly, the climate action plan, we have worked with our consultant. We have engaged the community as we have gone through this process. This is a very important part of our sustainability initiatives as a town, and our goal is to meet the CLCPA 85% carbon emission reduction by 2050. That's not going to be easy, but clearly planning and really coming up with a comprehensive, first you got to know where you're at, and that's certainly one of the things that this climate action plan does. It shows the progress we've already made towards reducing emissions, but it really sets forth a framework for going forward and reducing those emissions in the years to come. We heard an example discussed just earlier today of our lodge over at the town park and the changes that are being made to that building to make it nearly net zero with a heat pump and solar panels on top. Those are the kind of things that this plan will give us the ground rules for repeating time after time after time. But it's not just the town government. It also addresses how we as a broader community can reduce emissions. And we're going to work with you. The county is also working on a climate action plan, so we'll have that larger framework to work from. But this is really, really important for us. We can't change the world. We talk about this in all sorts of matters that the town handles. But what we can do is do our part and act as a role model for other communities. That's what we're committed to doing with this climate action plan. And I'm very pleased. I think our staff, Brendan in particular, our consultant, and the community at large for being a part of getting us to this point. We have a motion and a second. Any other comments?
I'll just make one comment because I want to recognize again the Sustainability Oversight
Yes,
Committee,
thank
very much led by Erin Ryan. In her capable hands, she did a yeoman's work in reviewing the plan, providing feedback, and also this particular plan had a goal to make sure that not only were we sustainable but also inclusive. And so the outreach was coordinated in conjunction with the Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Advisory Board, and we thank them for their efforts, also the Conservation Board for weighing in on the plan. Without the feedback of all of those volunteer organizations, the plan wouldn't be what it is today.
Thanks, Robin. And you know, that's a great reminder of how valuable our resident volunteers are in helping us to get things done. The last item on our agenda today will be some reappointments to our Zoning Board of Appeals. But by volunteering to the community, this is a plug now, folks, because we do need volunteers for lots of the work we do. But those volunteers, those of you out there, including someone here in the room today, Judy Schwartz, who we will be reappointing, I anticipate, before the meeting is over. Your work and the work of all of our volunteers is critical in helping us as a community meet our goals in so many different areas, whether it is in DEI, whether it's in sustainability, whether it's open space, you name it, our volunteers are so, so valuable. So thank you for the shout out to all of them. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll on approval of the Climate Action Plan.
Councilmember DePoncio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. And the plan itself is available on the town's webpage. It is a hefty document. There's a lot in it. Okay, the next matter, Chris.
Bill, the next matter is to set a public hearing to amend condition number 5 of the Quickleys Development Incentive Zoning Proposal for properties located at 1950 to 1966 Monroe Avenue. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Bill, this relates to the decorative feature that is to be placed out front of this project, but because of the redevelopment of the Monroe Avenue by the state, there may be a taking in the right-of-way, and therefore it could have an impact on the location and construction of the decorative feature, and therefore that had been a condition of the incentive zoning that be completed before the building permit issued, and instead they would change that simply to that decorative feature could wait until prior to the certificate of occupancy issuance.
That's right, and I think that makes perfect sense. It also may give it an opportunity. One of the other things we heard at a meeting of the Council of Governments last week was a presentation on a study that the county is doing in collaboration with the city on public art. They've retained a consulting firm from Ohio. It's a consulting firm that most recently has done a significant public art plan in Akron, Ohio. And I talked about, the mayor of the village of Fairport talked about what they're doing. I noted that we are looking at public art, street art, as an amenity in an incentive zoning approval. Incentive zoning is such an important part of our land use development work, fitting in with our comprehensive plan. But the opportunity to engage and include incentive zoning and street art, public art, as an amenity for the community as part of incentive zoning is also a great thing. And I really appreciate County Executive Bello and Mayor Evans collaborating to bring street art, public art, in a greater and greater way to the community as a whole. So I certainly recommend, well, this is just setting a public hearing. The public hearing will be at our meeting on January 24th, but I hope the board will give very serious consideration to making that change for all the reasons Chris mentioned. Any further discussion? Dan, please call the roll on that motion.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer?
Aye. Jason?
Yes, the next matter seeks an amendment to certain salary and wage schedules included in the 2024 budget. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
This amendment will provide a 4% salary or wage increase to almost all of our non-represented employees for 2023 over 2024. It will not change the 2% increase for elected officials that's already in the budget. We will remain at 2%, and there is one position, one group 11 in our full-time non-represented salary schedule that had already been increased during 2023, so that will not get a further 4% increase going forward. So, but other than that, it will provide those 4% increases for non-represented, full-time, part-time, seasonal people, from student interns right on up. It's important, and we wanted to send that message to our staff, just how valuable the work that they do for us, and we are grateful for that. Our 3 collective bargaining units have pay increases that are governed by their collective bargaining agreements and also are not covered by this. That is the police, and as you recall, we just at our last meeting, I believe it was, ratified, approved an agreement with our police union that has been ratified by our rank and file police officers. We also have negotiations pending with our CSEA employees who are primarily in our highway department. That agreement also expires as of December 31st. And we have an agreement with our Teamsters, who are the smallest of our 3 collective bargaining units, park foreman, sewer foreman, a couple of other people. That contract doesn't expire until next year. So those agreements are what they are. This change addresses non-represented. Any further discussion on that? Did I get them? Yeah. Jason, you made the motion, and Robin, you seconded it, right? All right. Further discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer?
Aye. And the last item of new business, which was added as we approved the agenda, is our appointments to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Robin.
Certainly. The matter regarding the appointment of Judy Schwartz and Heather McKay Drury to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term commencing immediately and ending December 31, 2030. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Thank you, Judy, and thank you, Heather. I don't know if you're watching, Heather, or not, but we appreciate the service both of you provide. And Judy, you especially, it's been another year. You come to almost every one of these meetings that you can. Your presence is valuable. It's appreciated. Your collective, the knowledge you have developed over the years of the town, but also your commitment to so many of the same ideals that are priorities for us. We appreciate that. We appreciate your presence here, but also very much at our Zoning Board of Appeals. We have a motion seconded. Any further discussion?
Thank you, Judy.
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer.
Aye. You're not going to like this, Jason. But we don't like it either. This is the last town board meeting with our longtime friend and colleague, Jason DePonzio, sitting to my right here at our town board meetings. Jason has been an exceptional town board member for the last 12 years, and before that, he served with Judy on the Zoning Board of Appeals, which I know gave you a real foundation for the work that you have done for us on the town board. You've chaired the Finance and Administrative Services Committee for those 12 years. Not a lot of flashy, but that's the finance, the budget, all of those items are reviewed by the Finance Committee, and your work is just invaluable. Anything that involves spending money, Earl doesn't like any of that stuff, but it all comes through the Finance Committee, and that is so important. Jason has also served, has it been the whole 12 years as liaison to the Brighton Memorial Library Board?
Talking about that last week, I think my first meeting was in February or March of 2012. So
Okay, so you missed a month.
I missed a month, yes. yes.
11 and a big plus years as town board liaison to the Brighton Memorial Library Board of Trustees. And we all know what a gem the library is, and I know they've valued your the dialogue and your commitment to working with them and serving as a liaison to the town board. We had a gathering here last week thanking Jason, not only town employees, but some past friends and town employees that were here. And one of the things I mentioned is that Jason has also been an active community member. Particularly, I want to note his service with the Meadowbrook neighborhood, and more particularly than that, being a part of the steering committee of CORD, Confronting Our Racist Deeds. The Meadowbrook neighborhood was very concerned, as so many of us were, about the racist deed restrictions and other deed restrictions that were in various neighborhood deeds. In Meadowbrook, CORD, with Jason's help as sort of ad hoc counsel to that group, not only drafted a document that was signed by property owners in the neighborhood rescinding those restrictions. The restrictions have long since been made illegal and unenforceable by the Supreme Court, but the mere presence of them was troubling, and it should be troubling. So not only did CORD eliminate that, but they took a step further, and they affirmatively added anti-racist language to their covenants to make it clear that theirs is a neighborhood that affirmatively rejects racism. And I thought that was just a remarkable thing that you and the neighborhood did, and I thank you for that. Jason, you've been a steadying, thoughtful member of the board. You've always worked to make Brighton the best community that it can possibly be. I know I'm not the only one up here that's going to miss your voice and your contributions to the community. Thank you for 12 really, really good years.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Thank you for those kind words, and thank you to my colleagues. It was nice last Friday. We got to let our hair down a little bit and have a little bite to eat and reminisce last week before the holidays started. But keep up the good work. It's been my honor and privilege to serve this community, serve with such a talented group of professionals and elected officials, and keep up the good work. The community doesn't realize the breadth of talent that they really have serving them in all of these roles. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know if I'm out of order,
You're not.
whether the town clerk comes next, but I express my thanks, Jason, and certainly going to miss you after 12 years having started together here and such. But I did think a bit afterwards, saying, well, my cup has always been half empty, and let me try to find a positive side to your leaving the town board. And other than the addition of Nate Salzman, I realize now that your seniority all these 12 years has preceded mine by about 1 minute. And therefore, the roll call has always been number 1, Jason DePonzio. Now, assuming we will have the same order of roll call, I'll get to be first. But other than that, I'm very sorry to see you go.
Robin, I know you said
Yeah.
some great words at
Jason,
the party last week.
yeah, obviously, it has been a pleasure to serve with you. You have been such a tremendous resource, I think, to all of us as your colleagues, but also to this community. And we are going to miss your thoughtful consideration of all of the issues that are brought before us, and just your presence here on the board. It is a grounding presence. It is a thoughtful presence. It is a state presence, and we will miss that.
Thank you. Thank you, Robin.
Unfortunately, as you agreed, you're not going far.
No?
Right down the road.
I'm compiling my list of things to complain about at the first open forum.
We may give you 4 minutes.
All right.
Oh, well,
Couple of other things I do want to mention. First, today is the second day of the observance of Kwanzaa. Today recognizing the second of the 7 defining principles of Kwanzaa, Kujichagulia, self-determination. As the founder of Kwanzaa, Dr. Maulana Karenga observed, and I'll quote, "The principle of Kujichagulia reaffirms the right of persons and peoples to determine their own destiny in daily lives, to live in peace and security, and to flourish in freedom everywhere." If there ever was a time those words resonate in importance, it is now. So, again, let us all observe Kwanzaa and those 7 very important principles that make up this week. Robin, you mentioned the farmers market. One more great piece of news about the farmers market, and that is the Genesee Valley chapter of the American Public Works Association is recognizing the farmers market project as its best project of the year, with a price tag under $5 million. That far under $5 million, by the way. That's their break point. But I'm very excited. This is not the first time Town of Brighton projects have been recognized by the APWA. I appreciate the work they do. I always enjoy going to their dinners and seeing the projects that are being recognized. But this year in January, we will get to see the farmers market being recognized with their awards. So, Everett, thank you for your role in making that happen, and the others, a whole bunch of people here at Town Hall who blood, sweat, and tears to make that farmers market happen. And we hope that all of you and all of us, I hope, will be able to attend that dinner later in January. On January 1st, this coming Monday, the town will host a swearing-in ceremony for all of our elected officials. That will be at 1 o'clock on New Year's Day here at Town Hall. It will be held here in the auditorium. We anticipate that there is going to be quite a crowd, so we will be not only live streaming the meeting will be broadcast on Zoom, and overflow seating will be available in one or both of the courtrooms downstairs, depending on just how many people are there. So that's at 1 o'clock on New Year's Day. Afterwards, there will be a reception out here in the lobby of Town Hall. So the public is welcome to that. Matters of the town attorney.
Thank you, Supervisor. I do not have any matters to report, but would request an executive session to discuss two matters leading to the employment of particular persons, as well as discussions regarding pending litigation.
Thanks, John. Matters of the town clerk.
Just a heads up, a reminder, 2024 town and county tax collection begins this Friday, the 29th. Won't have the amount or bills probably until Friday. You know, the county has a very heavy lift in getting everything done in time, and it's very much everything is rush right up to the last second. So I'm unlikely to have them before Friday, but for anybody who's still benefits from the tax deduction, if there's anybody left that does it, after we were robbed of salt a number of years ago, which I really thought would have changed by now, but I'm disappointed that wasn't done. But anyway, anybody that wants their payment on calendar 23 can do that Friday, or mail it in before the 31st, or use our drop boxes before the 31st, and we'll get those on calendar 23 for you. Otherwise, Tuesday morning, we'll start in full and plug on through the end of May.
Do we think that the mail bills will arrive on Friday?
No.
Okay.
No, definitely not.
So
And
don't
that's
worry if you
intentional.
haven't gotten a bill, is what you're saying. You can
Yep.
still come in, and Dan and his team will be able to pull it off.
Yeah, quite frankly, it causes too much confusion to have them in people's hands too early. We're not allowed to take anything before Friday, so they actually typically aren't mailed until Friday to eliminate any confusion that people have. The few people that use the pay calendar year, they know to come into whatever town that they live in and take care of it. So it's much
Good.
cleaner.
Well, thank you.
Look forward to seeing everybody at the counter.
Yeah, it's fun. Nobody likes.
It's a good time to catch up.
But it is nice to see people in the building, and sometimes they'll stop down. I know share a lot of thoughts with you. Sometimes they come down the hall and have ideas for us. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah,
Public interaction.
it's a good, you all don't necessarily see this as often there, but people pay. It's regardless of what it's for. Spending money, it can be hard, but I've noticed through the years, I was very apprehensive coming into this position about that. I thought it was booed on the street and stuff, but the folks in Brighton really understand what it's going towards, and the work that the board and town staff in particular put in, and where their money goes, and they can see where that goes at the local level. So really, I think certainly that is an occasion if there are grievances to be aired, but for the most part, it's a much more it's very positive interactions when folks come in. So I think another testament to the folks of Brighton that by and large they get it.
There's no question. Even though they write those checks to you, you are clearly their most valuable player, because people really do. I hear it all the time. People are so appreciative of the work that you do, and your role as sort of a broader ombudsman for so many different things.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for that. I hear it all the time. Speaking of thanks, thank you to our ASL interpreters, Quinn and Paige. We appreciate you coming out during the holidays to be with us. Thank you. I want to wish everybody, whether you're here in the room or watching remotely, a very happy holiday season. Stay safe. Don't drink and drive. Stay safe. I hope to see you at our swearing-in ceremony on the 1st or at our organizational meeting on January 2nd. And if none of those work, at our next regularly scheduled town board meeting, because I don't think we'll be coming back out into public session after our executive session, that next regularly scheduled board meeting on January 10th at 7 p.m. right here. Can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the employment of particular people and a matter of litigation?
So moved.
Second.
And Jason, I'm glad you got to make one more, yes. Dan, please call the roll. Who seconded it? I'm sorry.
I did.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Jason DePoncio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye.